My 17 male, mom, 38 female, married my ex-military stepdad, 45 male, 12 years ago. They have 3 children of their own now, 10 female, 8 female, 4 male. I love my siblings and my mom, but I totally hate my stepdad. He's a pusher and awfully strict. Nothing I do is good enough for him. I'm not tall enough. I'm 6'1" and he's 6'4". I'm not fit enough. Since I turned 14, he's made me wake up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. to work out with him because he won't have a fat kid. I'm not smart enough. I'm not a straight-A student, but I do pretty well. I don't help around enough. I do all the laundry, dishwash, and I take care of our 4 dogs. He has berated me for not having a girlfriend, for not having good friends since they have to meet their standards. The most stupid thing is that he doesn't approve my dad because he's overweight and is going bald, which are things that 1. Are none of his business, 2. Already makes my dad pretty insecure. He doesn't need ducking Arnold Schwarzenegger on his back. My dad is a pretty sweet, sensitive guy. He's not afraid to show his emotions and has taught me and my half-brothers, 12 male, 6 male, from his side that much. My younger bro, 4 male, P. See us being open towards each other. We hug each other, we tease each other, and I call my younger bros, P and 6M, baby, cuz. A few days ago while we were having dinner, P asked me something and I answered, "Dunno, baby." P giggled, but my stepdad hit the table and asked what the duck we were doing. P got a little scared, but I only saw him and said, "We're talking." He asked why I called P baby, and I told him that he was my baby brother. He told me that baby is meant for girls and that my brother wasn't a puss like my dad, so I better not call him baby again. I know that I'm an a-hole for this, but I told him, "Dunno, baby. Can't make promises." My stepdad lost his crap in his face, but politely asked me to take my things and get the duck out of his house. I said nope, that if he wanted me gone, then we would have to wait for my dad to drive here, 2 hours, get me, and then I will leave. He stood up and told me to get the duck out right now, and I said that I wouldn't. He tried to grab me, but my mom got involved and told him that she was going to talk to me. She asked me to get a few things and go to my friend's house a few blocks down until my dad could pick me up, but I told her that I wouldn't, since she was my mom and I had to be with her until my dad was here. She said that I was misbehaving and that I wanted to ruin her marriage, but I said that it's not my fault she married a fussy bully and that I was going to wait in my room for my dad. He picked me up 2 days later because he couldn't leave early, and my stepdad said that if I wanted to come back, I had to apologize and do twice as much as I do now. Some of my cousins told me that I was an a-hole for not leaving when my stepdad told me, since it was his house and he's my parent. I said that he's just my mom's husband and that the house is hers too, so I was entitled to be safe until my dad could pick me up. Edit. My stepdad messaged me a few minutes ago. He told me that I can come back next Sunday and that he'll take me to dinner, just us, so we can talk and apologize to each other. He's willing to take me to McDonald's. He ducking hates McDonald's and calls it crap food, which it is, but I guess it is his way to be passive. I haven't answered. I was this short to tell him to go F himself, but I don't want to burn my bridges with my siblings. Update. Guys, he saw my post. That's why he messaged me. He said he can't believe people are calling him gay. People are calling him an abuser too, but I guess he has his priorities. Your stepfather sounds like a walking advertisement for toxic masculinity. I'm glad you're able to see your father for the role model he is. You're 17. Kicking you out of the house is unethical and illegal, although that may depend on your jurisdiction. You did nothing wrong, not the a-hole. I'll try to keep this brief because there is a lot of backstory with these people, and I don't know how much of it matters. I've always had a difficult relationship with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Sister-in-law just doesn't like me. Mother-in-law is hot and cold, and it causes a lot of stress. About a year ago, after a fight with mother-in-law, I texted a friend to vent, and I accidentally sent the message to mother-in-law. Their names are 1 letter apart. The text talked about how she is such a bee and she doesn't deserve her boyfriend because he is gorgeous. My friend had previously, during an in-person convo, asked how gorgeous, and for a picture, but I didn't feel comfortable, so I wrote back, spank bank gorgeous. Mother-in-law was pissed, which is okay. She has been cheated on before, and I know the way I talked about her boyfriend was disrespectful. I apologized, but mother-in-law raised hell and showed everyone. And to calm her down, boyfriend said some nasty things about me. I also had to work that out with my husband because I hurt his feelings. Mother-in-law got engaged to the guy in question a couple weeks ago. We were seeing each other for the first time for a family dinner, and sister-in-law mentioned she was getting a cake for them. Everything is mostly back to normal with mother-in-law and her fiancé, though sometimes I feel like they are laughing at me. Sister-in-law brought the cake out, and it said, "Congratulations, he is spank bank gorgeous." Everyone laughed, and I immediately was mortified. I tried to smear the frosting, but mother-in-law wouldn't let me, so I just tossed the cake on the ground. Sister-in-law immediately started yelling at me that she spent a lot of money, and mother-in-law's parents got upset because they didn't have dessert, and it was their house. We were outside, so the cake didn't ruin anything. I left because I was humiliated and went home to father-in-law's house where we live. Father-in-law called me an a-hole and said I should learn to take a joke and be happy for her, and that I should pay sister-in-law back. Everyone claims it was funny, and I'm too uptight, but it wasn't funny to me. Yes, the a-hole. Yikes. You seem to have messed up massively here. You hurt your in-laws and your husband. Then, when they seem to have gotten over it, joking about it, you make it all about yourself and ruined a cake. You should feel humiliated because you acted like a child after your own mistakes. After this, I truly wonder if the reason you don't have a good relationship with them really is on them. 2 years ago, my husband told me that he had met this woman while he was speaking at a local community college. She was a high school dropout and was then in the process of getting her GED. But he said she asked a bunch of insightful questions, and they got to talking, and he knows this is weird, but he felt like he made a friend. I felt it was strange because my husband had maybe one other female friend who he was close to, but she was my brother's wife and in her 40s. But my husband got irritated and called me jealous and insular, saying the last time he checked, the only barrier to entry to friendship was common interests and getting along. I met the woman several times at different events, and she insisted that he was someone she could ask questions about regarding career choices. My husband is a dermatologist with his own practice, but in recent years, he's expanded his business interests by opening a med spa and also a school that trains nurses on how to inject Botox, fillers, operate laser hair removal machines, etc. He also is a co-founder of a nonprofit that teaches kids about entrepreneurship, coding, product design. He told me soon after I met his friend for the first time that because he didn't want me to jump to random conclusions, that his brother, who runs his nonprofit and med spa, had hired her as an administrative assistant, not him. For the past 2 years, my husband has been irritated at every little purchase on our credit card statement, even if it is for our 2 daughters, aged 16 and 14, to buy new shoes or winter clothes, or for tutoring since my younger daughter has dyslexia. Basically, anything on the bill that isn't for Whole Foods, which is where he needs the produce he eats to come from, gets extreme raised eyebrows from him. He has even gone to the extent of printing out our credit card statements and writing an underlying "cut" on it and leaving it on the counter where our girls can see. He tried to haggle a Macy's salesperson over the $80 price tag of my older daughter's prom dress, and then asked why our younger daughter couldn't just also wear the prom dress the week after to her 8th grade graduation festivities. When I pointed out that nobody else was going to wear a floor-length puffy dress to the graduation, he told me to just hem it then. He picked a fight with the fact that I let our daughter go to a lunch with her best friend for her sweet 16. He said that we were already treating her to dinner, and told our daughter she was 16 and still had no respect for money. While on vacation, he had to stay behind in the hotel room, but told me and our daughters to walk over 20 minutes to a bus station the next city over instead of calling an Uber. He told our younger daughter that any other parent would make the fancy tutor fees come out of their kids' college fund. Recently, I noticed my husband and his brother have been at odds. My husband also is more irritable at home. Finally, my husband and his brother get into a fight at a family event, and his brother is swearing ferociously at my husband, so I step in to try to calm him down. I follow him out, and his brother calls me later and says, "Just to let you know, your husband gives that younger female friend of his a higher salary than he gives me, or himself for that matter. He said he's happy to meet me to discuss more." I meet him, and he says for the nonprofit my husband took a salary of $45,000. His brother took a salary of $40,000, and his friend got a salary of $70,000 for being a marketing manager. For this med spa, she is getting paid as a sales consultant and getting $100,000. At his dermatology practice, she was getting $45,000 as a patient coordinator, and at his school, he was giving her close to $90,000 as a curriculum development manager. I was shocked, and I asked him if it was true that she only had a GED. He said that she is currently taking courses at an online college, and that he does specialized work for the nonprofit in particular, and she still gets paid more for much less work. He said that all she did was occasionally help patients make appointments and read through the Contact Us submissions on the practice's website. Other people under her write all the social media and marketing content, and her only job is to dictate the posting schedule. She also checks people in to promotional events. My brother-in-law said that she mostly bounces around the various businesses, doing basic administrative work and occasionally talking to clients. But mostly she just stays on her computer, doing whatever, and that my husband keeps it away from most of his employees. But it's gotten to the point where he's way too annoyed by her imposing presence, and he wants out after 20 years of working with my husband. I ask if they are sleeping together. My brother-in-law shrugs and gives me a look that says that they speak alone all the time, but that he's never caught them in the act. I get home furious and confront my husband about it. My husband said his brother has been doing bad work and showing up to work on D, and that he was the one firing his brother. He says he couldn't believe I was so jealous that I violated his privacy and that of his employees to dig through financials, considering I have everything I need financially. I ask him if he's having an affair, and he says she is a brilliant conversationalist with great work ethic, and says why should he have to hire college graduates when she's better at her job and is an excellent multitasker. He refuses to answer about why his other job posting asks candidates to have a college degree, including those in marketing and business development she supposedly is supervising and whose work she is posting. I cannot stand to be around my husband right now. He told me his business was getting hit hard by the pandemic and we needed to catch back, but the records show that he just doesn't want me to spend anything, not even to get our daughter's winter clothes. He even said as I walked away from that fight that he wasn't going to let me use this as emotional blackmail to go on a shopping spree. What do I do? Yep, time to quietly hire a divorce attorney. He's giving money to the mistress through the company. They can get a forensic accountant involved. Your girls deserve more than this 23-year-old does, and they are getting shafted by their own father's lust. I'm sorry for your family and your brother-in-law. Maybe the threat of divorce will shake him enough to wake him up, but it seems he's lost his head. I am a retired man on a pension. I don't get much money, and I have to live frugally. My daughter had an affair with the man she is now. This broke up her marriage. The new family member is a 15-year-old teenage girl who is technically my step-grandchild now. I don't see her often, nor do I know her. She lives with her mom. My daughter and her husband married as soon as her divorce was finalized 18 months ago. This has been extremely hard on my grandson. He is 17 and moody, angry, upset, lashing out at his mom. He doesn't want to live with her, but his dad hasn't got a stable home due to the divorce. My grandson is in need of someone in his corner. I decided I wanted to gift him some money for Christmas. Normally, I don't give cash to any family member, but I want to help him. He is not dealing well. I gave him the money in secret and asked that he invest wisely, not blow it on girls or pee. He said he would buy a car. I said okay. My daughter found the cash in my son's room after doing a random search and wanted to know where the money came from. I told her the truth so she would not suspect my grandson of wrongdoing. She told her partner, and they both want me to take my gift back because my stepdad granddaughter is left out. I don't want to take the gift back. My grandson needs to know someone is thinking of him. I do not feel I am obligated to gift money to someone else's child just because their parent has a skewed vision of what is fair. I will gift the girl some chocolate on Christmas, and I think that's appropriate. My wife has passed away, and I have no one to ask, so I am hoping the internet will be of some use. Thank you. Not the a-hole. I think your assessment of the situation is spot on. He needs someone in his corner, and that person is you. When I was young and a lot stupider, I married a man who already had a wife. This happened mostly pre-internet, and this was settled over 15 years ago. It's just coming up again now because the children are now just meeting each other. Long story short, when I was 22, I married an, at the time, wealthy man and quickly had 2 kids with him. I didn't know this, but he managed to hide another wife who he married a year prior to me. When we found out, we both obviously divorced him and then started a legal fight. At the time of discovery, my kids were barely toddlers, and the other wife was pregnant. The court didn't know what to do, and the other wife's family fought hard to keep this out of the news. He had bought both of our houses, and since he had joint finances with both of us, every penny all 3 of us had to be argued over and split. The original settlement was going to be that each of the wives kept their house, and the money would just be split 3 ways equally. The other wife had a sticking point with one thing though, and that was that I was still maintaining having been his wife also, mostly for legal and social reasons. She couldn't stand it and did all she could to delay things over it. This ended in a choice. I could either call myself my children's father's wife to the end and get a straight 3-way split, 33%, and likely fight with these people forever. Or I could admit to being a mistress and get a full 50% of all the money at stake, more child support than would be usual, and have my house paid off by my child's father. I just wouldn't be automatically eligible for their retirement funds or life insurance like a wife would in a divorce, and I would have to take the social hit of an affair with a married man. I took the money and now have a pretty standard lower middle class life. The 2 other adults here didn't end so well. His father's company fell apart in 2008, and he never recovered. He had to drain his retirement accounts to live off of, and works a much lower income job now. The other wife developed MS and is now living on disability. She lost her house not long after the divorce and is living with her parents with her kid, plus some other kids she had later. My kids are in a perfectly stable home and have just now started messaging their half-sibling. Who grew up basically in poverty. The kid blames me for all his problems, and now my kids are angry at me for bankrupting an innocent woman after I had an affair with her husband. I've since explained to them this story, but they still think I should be helping him, more because I was fully part of it and shouldn't have just skipped away. My family is starting up their opinions as well that they've barely had buried, and now I'm conflicted. Not the a-hole. Except your ex. You didn't give his other wife MS. You didn't bankrupt his father's business. And you certainly didn't impregnate her with her other children. In summary, you are not responsible for their current status.